Hey guys, do you know what's around the bend?
I do.
She'll be coming around.
It's
Ben?
boogie time. It's spooky season.
Yeah. I'm so excited.
I know. Every time I go anywhere, there's something scary. I always have to think about you guys.
Something scary.
Oh, dude, we went to Home Depot the other day because Micah in years past has absolutely loved skeletons and like scary things.
Skeletons are cool.
So I'm super pumped to take her to Frightmares. But I was like, hey, let's go to Home Depot on like a father-daughter date while I get some supplies that I need. And we can check out the Halloween section. I thought she'd love it. She was terrified.
Yeah, they do that, man. Because Brinley was the same thing. She loved her scary stuff. And then all of a sudden one day, it was almost as if like suddenly she got it.
Yeah.
And
it clicked
it was like,
in her head.
oh, yeah.
Well, and the sad thing is I think she was all right with it up until they had this mechanical goblin thing with a bag or something, and it springed up like like it pulled a head out of a bag or something. And so that it was, I don't think it was the head or the skeleton or the skull or anything that scared her. It was
just the motion.
And after that, she was like, no.
That's
and
crazy.
the entire time we were in there, it was ways away. And she was like, I don't want to go over there. I'm like, we're not going over there. I got to go over here.
Nowhere near it.
My kids being older, we have one of those animatronics for Halloween, and they still get uncomfortable around it. Like they're just.
Oh, is it like a spider thing?
No, it's like a guy, and he's like crouched down with the big, long, screaming face. He is terrifying.
Yeah, I'm so shocked you guys had that in your house.
Yeah, it's freaking awesome.
Dude.
So real quick comment on the
ahead.
skeleton thing. I saw this like shower thought, and it's like when you brush your teeth, that's the only time you clean your skeleton.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
Gross.
Yeah.
It's the only bones you have to clean.
Yeah.
Are your teeth.
I thought that was kind of wild. But anywho,
It's the only bones you're supposed to see.
supposed to, yeah.
Supposed to.
Right.
Yeah.
I was going to say something, but I'm not going to.
You've seen those pictures of, have you ever seen those pictures of like x-rays of like a kid's skull? And how
they're creepy.
How the teeth sit up in there?
It is absolutely frightening.
So
You're talking about the baby teeth.
yes,
Have you
dude.
seen the baby teeth
Oh
pictures?
my gosh, I hate it.
the baby teeth are down, but the grown-up teeth are up.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
The permanent. Oh,
like an alien.
The permanent
Yeah.
teeth, are all up
So
in the.
disgusting.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. Anyway, tonight's subject on the podcast, we are going to be talking about spooky things.
Spooky.
So I thought it'd be a lot of fun if we could each find a story of unexplained events. Kind of get the motions going. We could also share if we have our own personal experiences of unexplained things that still maybe kind of haunt you or that you remember from your childhood or older. And then, because they're very popular, what are they called? Two sentence
horror stories? Or
Yeah. I don't know, man. We're invoking bad juju. What does that sound?
Not my house.
Can I start us off with a 2-sentence one?
Oh, okay.
What does that sound real quick?
I heard.
I heard it too.
I keep hearing
Sound
it
like
too.
somebody dragging a leg.
Oh, shut up. Shut up. Not in my house. Not in my house, Satan.
Have you heard that? Have you seen that
knocking.
one movie where the people just move into a brand new house?
Oh,
and
shut up.
Turns out it was built on an Indian burial ground.
They get done remodeling the
crazy.
basement and realize
Putting a pool in.
Bro,
that was scary as hell.
what was that? Did you hear? That was straight up like that scary wind howling crap you see like on cue.
okay,
Did
shut
you
up.
even have windows?
What the French toast is happening?
for real.
What does that sound?
It's the wind. Is the window open? The window.
I closed the window.
The wind just pick up.
I feel like we're on location again.
Bro. I don't like it. Oh, I don't like it.
Please hold.
So straight up, we're sitting here telling our scary stories.
We haven't even told.
Out of me. And
We haven't even told scary stories yet.
All right, it was just the window.
Oh,
was it open?
Is it windy?
Didn't close it all the way, apparently.
It's the Wendigo.
Weird.
Perfect
dude.
timing.
Like spooky howling wind.
Okay, to lighten the mood for just a
Oh
second.
my
kinda
God,
you
are
have
we
on, like-
making a mistake?
Jeez, that was
Not my house.
scary.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Do your little Catholic.
I know.
Spectacles, testicles, wall and watch.
That's the one.
Ig nomine Patri et Filii et Spiritus Sancti.
Is that the only Latin you know?
Yeah.
Nice. I don't even know that.
All right, start us off. Oh, before I do, let me go around the spooky table and introduce my 4 idiot friends. Okay, it's not just me. We got Zach, Tony, me, myself, Austin, Chris, and Cam.
Hola.
And we're gonna have some spooky fun tonight. So Zach, please do us the honors.
Or
I
did
hate
you have
these.
something that you wanted to go first?
I'm off topic if I do it, so I don't know if I want to.
Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Do it.
Zach, I'm telling you, as the host, freaking go.
Okay, I'll go. Tony's just got this look on his face. I'm being nice.
Nope, go.
Okay, I'm going. Okay.
Zach, go.
Go! I open the door to a policeman who tells me my husband died in a car crash on the way home. As I turn my head to see him eating the dinner I just served, he starts grinning at me.
Oh,
Dang, I had no idea you were gay.
That's not a personal story.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
oh, I finally clicked.
$100, man. We know the answer.
$100 is $100.
Dude, that's actually though like pretty creepy though. to
Right?
think about. Just like you had just shoving food in his face and just like
Just turns and smiles.
that's when you grab the police officer and you're like, please, sir, take care of this.
Yeah.
Who you gonna call?
That's good.
What if the police officer can't see him?
Then the police officer takes her
See, I
away
didn't-
because she's crazy.
I didn't take it as like as a ghost. I took it as like a imposter, someone who took his
Right.
place.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like some sort of shapeshifter, doppelganger type thing.
I like that. I've got a rando question. Actually, like a request. Could we, at the next podcast recording session, could we all wear costumes?
Yeah.
I got one.
I know you do. Could we all wear costumes?
Dude, I'm so down.
Of course, I know you guys are down.
Absolutely.
I was gonna question like what kind of costumes, but it's like no wait, you're
can I wear?
opening this up for
What can I be?
costumes. I'm not even gonna question that.
Open to interpretation.
All right, okay, next episode. So
I'm
we
gonna
gotta
wear Macho Man Randy Savage. FYI, not like when this comes out, it'll already happen, but here in just a week, one week from a couple hours from now, we are going to WWE SmackDown.
Yeah, the best part
buddy.
about it is none of us are into wrestling except for this guy. He invited us to go. Next thing we know, we're all going.
And the
like,
wives.
heck
And
yeah.
the wives.
Yep.
It's gonna be awesome.
That's
I really want
that's
to
next
take.
Friday, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
I really want to take a big old sign of just like a misread or misattributed quote to a wrestler.
Can you smell what Stone Cold said so?
I just want us all to chant, grab his dick and twist it.
Twist his dick.
Give him the old dick twist.
Can you taste what The Rock is baking?
Yes. He's a baker now. All right, okay. On to the unexplained
Was that
events.
blasphemous?
Yes, a little bit.
Okay.
Stone Cold Cooking Rock.
On to the unexplained. I've got a fantastic example of an unexplained event that we were all part of. So you guys may remember last year we did a twofer. We all went and we did an on location podcast recording at an old mansion. It was like almost 100-year-old mansion.
Right.
And we went there ghost hunting. Well, following the podcast, we went on a ghost hunt through the house. And as we were walking up the staircase, you could see in the video, if you guys haven't seen the video, it's on Men Try Videos. But there's a paranormal, I can't remember the name of the video. But anyway, if you search paranormal, it's got to be one of them. It's at the Bristol Manor. And you can see in the video, we didn't notice it till post, so it's not brought to the attention on the video. But if you see the comments, it's just lit up. But there's a section right as we're about to walk up the stairs. I'm in the very back. Cam is in front of me on my right, and then or is it
Chris is in front,
Chris is in the front?
and then those two are in.
Yeah,
I believe
me.
I was in the back, very back, whatever we were doing.
no,
made
I
you-
was in the very
yeah,
back.
he was in the back
because I was
filming.
cameraman.
Right.
And I
Oh,
was
that's
like,
right.
and I said on there, I was like, you guys get up there. That's why we brought you.
Yeah.
I'm going first.
Right.
And so you can see 3 of the 5 guys. One of them, me, is behind the camera. You can see that I stopped moving, and Cam's to my right immediately, and you can see that he's got nowhere to go. You don't. I don't think they see you, but you legit can't see.
You can see enough to know that it wasn't me.
Yeah, exactly. And so as we all stop on the staircase because Chris thinks he hears something, if you pay attention to the audio, you can hear feet running up the stairs ahead of us.
I felt
did-
something.
We didn't notice it in the moment, but then we saw it.
Dude, I had to watch
or
the
heard it in
video
the
like
post.
20 times before I
I
actually
believe it
heard
was actually the viewers.
Yeah, the viewers noticed
Left
it.
some comments. They were like, "Did you guys hear the footsteps?"
Exactly.
Yeah, but him and Jess saw it in editing, and they sent it to
No,
us.
no, we didn't.
I swear.
No, so they pointed it out, and Jess pulled up the project file.
Oh, okay.
To see if somehow we had accidentally overlaid audio, and we verified through our project file in Audition or Premiere that there was no additional audio, no nothing. It was literally just cut and dry one clip. And so it is so creepy because you can legit hear the steps the feet running up the stairs ahead of us.
Well,
I
it's
remember.
wild. Go ahead.
I remember when we were going up the stairs. Didn't I look at you? I go, did you feel that? Like we felt something.
Yeah,
didn't we?"
you did. I
Well,
remember
so
that actually.
you
I
had
believe.
the EVP app, and
Right.
it went off, and so we all like reacted to it. But the wild thing is that our reaction to it lines up perfectly with the footsteps
Footsteps.
running
Yeah.
up.
Is
So
that what-
you
it was
almost
when we
think
were
we
going-
reacted to that, but we didn't. None of us heard that.
It's,
we were
it's when we were
reacting to
going
him.
upstairs, and I
Yeah.
felt like all of a sudden I just felt like a. Whoo.
Was it when we were
And
going
then-
from the main level on
Yeah.
that set?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was the very
okay.
Literally the beginning.
Yeah, the very first 2 minutes of the episode,
Right.
you can hear it.
Like that was so fun.
That's very unexplained, and that's something that we all share.
Dude, for real.
Right.
And then we have it recorded. It's recorded proof.
Yeah. We should
It's
go do
nuts.
another one.
I feel like
be
if we
down.
would have heard that in the moment, that would have been a
We
very
would have
different night.
pooped our pants.
Yep.
I don't know how we didn't hear it because when you watch the video, it's very obvious.
It's loud.
Yeah.
But I think I was so set on capturing the shot, so I wasn't paying attention, and
We
I
were
just
focused on Chris.
probably just
Yeah.
all assumed it was someone else. Like,
well, and it was the
No,
very
we didn't
first,
even hear it.
Yeah.
well,
Well, I think we all heard the EVP come through on his phone, and that was terrifying enough.
We were like, no.
You know, I'm curious. I wonder if we went back and listened. I wonder what that EVP says just in that moment, right before this. The
I still have it all recorded.
Oh,
you?
nice.
Yeah. Was it the first EVP of the night?
I don't know because I can't recall what. Didn't we do a little bit of searching before we did the podcast? Like, didn't we go in
Right.
through some
we
of the
just
rooms?
did a quick tour,
Well, I
make
got-
sure the equipment was working.
I got pushed up the stairs when we were taking the
Yeah.
batteries out of the smoke detector.
Yeah.
Yeah, when me and you were down
Right.
there. Oh,
Yeah. I actually got like pushed up the stairs.
that part was freaky.
Gosh.
On a sidebar, though, that house, they've done so much work to it. It looks elegant AF now.
But
It's awesome.
are there creepy ghosts?
But it's
I don't
haunted.
know, man. We should go.
You also, I don't think we ever shared what happened afterwards, too. Your buddies, didn't he text you and say that a couple of the painters showed up to go paint?
right.
And they heard voices on the inside, and they went in and they were looking around because they thought your buddy was there with
Yep.
whoever. And he ended up texting him and he said, "Hey, is there anybody else in this house?" And he's like, "No, it's just you guys." And they turned around
yeah,
and left.
they left.
Shut up.
They straight up left.
yeah,
Yeah.
They heard voices in the house and they thought it was somebody else, but it was just them there.
Yeah, so they left.
The most bizarre part about that is that the basement, which you thought would have been the creepiest, wasn't.
Yeah, it was
At all.
yours chill.
activity.
Right. It was upstairs.
I don't like
And
that my
the
back's to
stairwell.
the open
The
room.
stairwell, I thought,
It's a big open room,
It is. It
too.
really
the
is.
stairwell, and then that like attic loft area
Right.
Yeah.
with that little closet door
Right.
and everything.
Well, and gosh, what was it? There was something creepy about it because there was that little tiny closet. There was like a short closet. And my wife and I went there with the kids, and Micah went in there and was like what was it? There was something unique about it that, he told us about how his niece would go in there and like talk to someone. And then Micah went in there and then I was like, no, we're out of here.
Get out.
Yeah. So, and then I think you went in there, right?
Right.
Yep.
Anyway.
Sat in there.
Well, dude, did we ever find out if that scream was your friend?
That was not my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another time, and that was while we were
That was
recording
in
the
the
podcast.
podcast.
So while we were chatting in the podcast, there was this crazy scream that happened in the background.
I thought it was
something
two
was
different
thrown.
screams.
Was there two?
There was
were
the
two
first
screams.
one where you could clearly tell it was someone from outside.
Really loud.
And I thought that was the one that your friend
Right.
did admit that it was him. And then it was shortly after that,
We heard
there
one
was
in the
another one,
Or whatever.
and it was, it
Yes.
was weird.
And the freaking thump of the freaking
Something got thrown across the room
yep,
in,
and it
the,
like
in the other room.
slid on the ground.
Yeah, it was
and
the
all
fire
that.
alarm.
Yep.
Right.
Dude.
Yeah, it was a fire alarm.
Yeah,
That's
because
what we
I
explored.
forgot all the detail because I remember those things were happening and we just assumed it was my friend. And then my friend owned up to doing the shriek that we all
Yeah.
heard out in the street.
Right.
But he was just out riding his e-bike. So he never stepped foot onto the property.
It sounded like he was
It was
right
from the
behind
back.
us.
Yeah.
It
sounded like
it's
the
from-
backyard.
Might have been an echo or something.
Yeah. But all he did was he pulled up to the house, screamed, and then they like rode off again. That was it. So all the other stuff happened in that house.
Gross.
Yeah. Very gross.
I just remember when we went to investigate the sound and found out it was the smoke detector. I can't remember who it was, but I just remember I scared the hell out of you guys.
Zach.
Yeah, it was me.
because the wall had a hole in it, and I
yeah,
went
you
in
went
around,
around.
around to the other side.
Me and Zach were together on that
I
one.
think I saw what would have been a soul leave your body.
Yeah.
You don't get much more payoff.
That was so wild.
There was a lot. That was weird.
I remember driving when me and Chris were driving up there, and I remember pulling up and
there's
the
that
immediate feeling that
Right.
I got. But the weird thing is I don't know if I explained to you guys, when I worked for Rent-A-Center, I actually delivered
Yeah.
to
You
that.
told me that.
as it was a functioning apartment building. And I remember being in there with one of my coworkers. We were delivering something, and I got a bad feeling the moment we were in that place. And I was like, dude, I don't like it in here. And he's like, I don't either. He's like, let's get in and get out of here. Like, we made that one of the quickest deliveries we ever did because we didn't like it in there. It was not a good feeling in there. So
Yeah. It's one of those things that's so you guys know, but I grew up very in tune with all that.
Yeah.
Like I had as a child till I don't know, even when we met, I was very in tune and I made an effort not to notice and it started going away. Like we were at your condo in Roy, I can say it, in Roy.
Yeah.
And he was saying you were saying with the crib, like
Well, yeah, because it was when Brinley was just born, and we had her toys and different things would
Right.
go off. She had a rocking horse that would go off, different things like that. And then, yeah, you went back into that room,
right.
and you like immediately you're like, oh yeah, it's family. You're like, I think it's your grandma, and you sat in the chair, and you're like, she sits here like this, and she puts one leg up because she's got a bad knee, and I was just like, holy crap, because I.
All right.
Yeah, I didn't tell you anything of that. That was cool. One of the times I remember with your clairvoyance is kind of silly as it sounds, but to me, it for some reason the memory sticks with me. Is I was at your house when you were down in Roy, and we were playing Xbox or doing something, and you paused the game, and you were like, "Oh, hang on, Timber's got to go out to pee." Your dog at the
Right.
time. And he wasn't whining. He wasn't doing anything. Not a single sound. But
Thunder. That's thunder.
was thunder.
That's thunder. We're good.
What the F is happening right now?
It has been a clear day. Like
I saw the flash out the window.
Omens
balls.
bode
I
badly.
told you, I don't like my back to this.
you jumped so bad.
Because if someone comes in and murders, you guys are just gonna be like, ah, and I'm gonna be like, ah.
That's because we see. Don't you think it's worse for us to watch you die?
No.
No, I saw real quick to
so
finish that. But
loud.
yeah, so
Holy crap.
you had that like sense. You said you're like, yeah, he kind of like talked to me.
Right.
I don't like this.
But
Bro, for real, there was nothing before we started this conversation. Then wind is howling and knocking, and now freaking God Thor is farting. I don't know.
People are gonna think I'm weird.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, animals kind of I connect.
What are you
with
pointing
animals.
at?
I
With
was
my animals.
pointing at Chris.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
you were doing this.
Did you see that over there behind Cam?
Shut the fuck.
Shut the front door.
I saw this real quick on you getting attacked from behind.
You saw this? It's like a premonition.
I saw this comedian one time.
Clairvoyant now?
No, and I saw that. I can't remember his name, but it was this black comedian. He said, he's all, you know the difference between white and black people when it comes to that. He said, a white person has your back. He said, like, let's say someone's coming up behind me and he's about to hit me in the head with a baseball bat. He's like, a white guy's going to be like, hey, buddy, watch your back. That guy's going to hit you. And then you turn around and you see it. He's like, where black people are like, oh gosh, he's about to get hit. Oh, you just got hit. See, so we have your back.
Okay.
Maybe.
Friggin' Ghostbusters up in here.
Anyway, what were you saying?
No, so if you're not comfortable talking about it, just say so.
Okay.
I had brought up the lady in the red dress at your old house. One of the comments I read on here, someone was asking for more details into that.
The lady in red, it wasn't at my grandpa's house.
No, that lady in red at your old house in Roy.
Oh,
The Roy one where you freaked me out with that stupid mannequin and the night
that was
vision
my
goggle.
wife.
Yeah, she did that a lot.
Yeah.
But
She
you got
still-
me with a night vision. It was Edward. That's right.
Edward.
You had the cutout of cardboard.
What
cutout of
happened? I
Edward.
don't even remember this.
You were like, check out my night vision thing, and we're like, okay, so
I
go in
remember.
there, and freaking Edward was like folded up in the basement, and I was like,
So bad. It was so bad.
oh
See,
gosh.
the only one I remember at your old house was the little boy.
There's little boy Timmy.
I remember us going underneath your stairs and talking to him.
Right.
We actually got a good
Oh, that one was
good
really
talk
good.
from him.
All right.
It was the three of us. I remember that.
And he used to ride on the rafter and write stuff.
You like left a piece of chalk down there, right?
Yeah.
And he
Steal
would draw
pencils
stuff
from
in.
your kitchen as well.
Yeah.
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 I don't remember the lady. I remember you had a dark
I think
entity
you're thinking
there.
of the Matrix. The
No,
lady in red.
no.
The lady, the one.
The
You
lady
had a dark
you-
entity there.
We had dark entities there.
I thought you said it was a lady
that too.
in red or something like that, but she was in your basement. And
the
you
one
really
who
didn't
Timmy
go.
was scared of.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about that.
Okay. I was gonna say I if you're not comfortable, that's fine.
It's all right.
I just remember
Can I
when
ask
we did that.
why? You don't
because
want to talk about it?
because once I start, if I get okay, there's good energy and bad energy.
So talking
There's
about it
good spirits.
invites bad
Negative.
stuff.
I don't mind the good energy, but once you start getting the good energy, the bad. Okay, I look at it like this.
You're giving it power. Like,
Right. So
Yeah.
this is how I describe it, and I don't know if this is officially what it is, but once you give light to the fact that you can see and you can understand and you can and you know you get communicated to.
Yeah, it's almost like they know. They're like, oh, you can hear us? Well, I need to say something.
That little lane turns into a freeway. Okay? So everything
Oh my gosh.
I doubt that they can hear it on these mics, but it's thundering like
Bro,
mad
and
right now.
we haven't had a thunderstorm in so long.
Right?
So if you talk about the bad, okay, you get really into the demonic stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like an expressway to everything. But you talk about the good, yeah, you get more good, and then all of a sudden the bad notice a little more, and then they start working their way, which I'm kind of coming at the grip because honestly, I miss it. Not demons. I don't miss demons, but I do miss being able to have that connection and,
hear-
and have that thing.
Honestly, when we went out a lot, ghost hunting and whatnot,
Yeah.
and you taught me how to recognize the feeling,
Right.
and then it became more and more like, what's the word? Just recognizable, I guess.
Right.
Just, and I enjoyed it in the sense, like being
Yeah.
able to go somewhere and be like, ooh, there's like something, and you just kind of.
spooky.
My spider senses are tingling.
Shaylee's the same way, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, didn't you guys have a wild experience at your house?
Dude, she's very much like Chris. She picks up on some creepy stuff.
Does she still?
Yes.
Really?
But same thing. She'll say the same thing that he does. If she's not trying for a while, it dampens.
Right.
And then once she kind of tries to focus again, she can notice a lot more.
So when we went to that manor, like it was very subtle. Like before it'd be like a wave that hit me. But I remember going up those stairs and I was like, oh, I felt something. Like you can feel a presence. And it used to be if you focused enough, they don't talk to you like, hey, my name is Henry the Ghost. They don't do that, but it's more like they put impressions into you.
Yes,
like
that's exactly what she says.
Yeah, well, then that's true.
I know. No, that's what I'm saying. That's what's wild is the
up.
way that you're explaining it is very much how she explains it.
There's impressions. It's not like so at Tony's condo, it's not like all of a sudden I physically see a girl or a lady sitting in the chair, rocking back and forth with a hurt knee. It's an impression that came into me. That I was like, okay, there's someone sitting there, their knees hurting. They're just looking. It's family. I knew it was family.
Is it still thundering?
Yeah, this is perfect timing.
So
I hate this.
love it.
This is a terrible
I'm
idea.
freaked out, dude.
Dim the lights a bit.
No.
They all start to like flicker.
But yeah, it's just impressions.
got a
It's an
story.
impression that it's family. It's an impression that it was somebody close, and then the impression of, and then I get the impression to say the leg because you'd recognize who it is, right?
Yeah.
So, and I was like, they're just taking care. They're just watching over your kid. You're good.
The crazy thing with that particular, like that condo and that room specifically, is my grandma was a really heavy smoker. And I'm like 99% sure the previous owners were not smokers. But I would walk into just that room. Anywhere else in the place, it wasn't. But I'd walk into that room and every so often catch the smell of cigarette smoke.
See, and for some reason, I forget stuff because I thought it was a grandpa, but it was a grandma.
No, it was a grandma.
Well, you'd know better. It's just, I mean, I've had a ton of experiences with stuff.
That thunder, man. So I have one unexplained story from. I have a few, but this one is pretty good.
Okay.
And I'm trying to remember all the details of it because I was over at my friend Sean's growing up, and we were downstairs in his gaming room just playing some video games, and Sean was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go upstairs and take a quick shower." And I'll be right back. So I was like, okay, I'll just sit here and I'll play my video games or play the video games while you go do that. No big deal. Well, so he runs upstairs and their bathroom, the door's locked, the lights on, and he can hear the tub running, whatever. And so he comes back downstairs. He's like, hey man, just kidding. My brother's in there taking a shower or a bath or something. I think it was a bath. And we're like, oh, okay. And 20 seconds later, Brian comes walking into the room and Sean's like, weren't you just upstairs taking a bath? He's like, no. And so we all three run upstairs and he's like, dude, I swear on my life, the door was locked, the light was on, and I could hear the tub running. And we walk in there, lights off, doors open, not a lick of water in the tub. And we were just like freaked out. He's like, I swear on my life, I came up here, the door was locked, like you were in that tub. You were in that tub.
See, that kind of stuff. It's like, what does that mean?
Dude, that reminds me of when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I was probably like,
It's a clean getaway.
I think I was probably around like 10, 11 years old. And I was across the street from where my parents live now. I was across the street at my friend's house. And we were in his basement playing video games and stuff. And I remember his house was kind of like in the basement, kind of scary at night, like when we'd have sleepovers and stuff. But we're down there and we were the only ones home. And while we're down there, we heard the door open upstairs and like footsteps. So we like called out or something, thinking it was his family, and like nobody answered. So then we started to get freaked out. And we're like, what the like someone's here? Like, what's going on? So straight up, I grab like the fireplace poker and he grabs a
Isn't
weapon
that
himself.
Weird? That's the very first thing you grab.
Always, dude. It's friggin' iron and pokey. You're like, I'm going to mess someone up with this thing.
Exactly.
And so we start, sneaking up the stairs, like listening. We don't hear anything. And we think we hear the door close, like to the bathroom down the hall. Like we hear the door shut. So we're like, oh my gosh. And so we're still freaked out, but we go up more and we start walking down the hall towards the door. Well, we get to the door And we reach out to, like, I think I was the one in front. I reach out to grab the handle. As soon as I'm about an inch away from this handle, it's just like jiggles, dude. We were like, screw this. We scream. We run out, like, down the hall and to the right. It was just the outside door. So we just booked it out, ran outside. We ran over to my house and we're like, screw that. We are not going back over there. And like not too long after that, his mom came home. So we went back over and we went in and nothing. No sign of anyone. Nothing. The door, I think, was open at this point, and we were like, what the freak
What
happened?
got out?
Right, dude? It was so scary though. That jiggle of the handle. Oh my god.
I have a feeling though. I think sometimes spirits like have a handbook. Like some of them are mischievous. They just want to mess with you. Mm-hmm. They really do.
It's like Beetlejuice.
Yeah,
door
that's what I
handles.
was about to say.
Like everything's always about door handles. They really do mess with doors. It's a crazy. So at my grandparents' house, did I tell you this story? At my grandparents' house, me and my cousin are spending the night. There's a couch, there's a window behind me, and then a couch in front of that window, and then there's another couch perpendicular on the right side, and then a wall. And then straight across from the couch I'm on, there's a window that goes into a tacky, like, little tool shed that my grandpa made underneath, like a pop out. And so there's a window that goes to that, to a glass door behind that. So you can see through
a couple panes of glass.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there. I think we were watching. We were being naughty and we were watching Braveheart underage or something like that. Like it was on.
Free the
It was on one of those. Every once in a while, like they had cable, but it was just hooked up. And every once in a while, like one of the premium channels would come through, and it was a movie channel.
Good times.
And it just randomly happens. And we were watching. It was Braveheart, and we're watching Braveheart, and all of a sudden, I'm like, oh no. And I just felt something.
You could tell.
Heavy. Yeah.
Oh
and
my
I'm just
gosh.
sitting there and I just feel something heavy. And it's not really like you get scared because it's a feeling of like sadness kind
Dread.
of. It's like, it's dread. That's a perfect word for it. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, shit. And I'm laying there and I'm like, I'm just gonna focus on the movie. And my cousin, so I'm right here at the window and my cousin's right here. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to ignore it. My cousin's like, I'm like, what? He's like, there's a shadow that just walked by the window. I'm like, son of a gun. Like I knew, because I felt it. I knew something was up. I was like, Joe, just ignore it. It's fine. So we're sitting there and we're watching the movie and all of a sudden I'm like, oh no. And I just get hit with this wave again. I'm like, oh no. And I look across because there's a window across from me and there's a dark figure in the window with like a top hat on. And it's in between. So it's not behind the glass door. So there's a glass sliding door and then the window. And it's in front of the glass door and it's right in the
between
window.
the two panes.
Looking, and I know it's looking right at me.
Oh my gosh.
Like it's just like, oh no, he knows. Like
It's like the Crooked Man.
he knows I see him.
Dude, I've heard many a story about sleep paralysis where they see a man with a top hat.
I don't know what the deal with that is, but there's a top hat guy that he always messed with me over there. And then, so we're sitting there. I was like, I'm just gonna ignore it. I'm like, Joe, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm okay. I was like, I go, just try not to think about it, because he's not really. He's seen stuff like it was so strong there that he's seen stuff with me, and I'm like, just try not to think about it. So we're sitting there watching Braveheart again, and then. So there's the window to the shop, and then to the left is a door that goes to the garage. So the garage door. All of a sudden, I feel it again. I'm like, crap. And I just knew to look over by the door. Like it was just intuition. And all of a sudden you see the door handle turn and then open, just cracks. And it cracks, I don't know, 4, 5,
If you're paying
6
attention,
inches.
Cam just looked to the ceiling because it was thundering again.
The timing of this thunder is ridiculous.
It's
Right?
impeccable.
So it shuts, or the door opens, excuse me, and it just barely swings open, but I don't see anybody. It's so dark out in the garage. I don't see anything, but I just feel I'm getting looked at, like it's right there.
Oh my gosh.
It's like a tiger that's in the hiding in the back, staring at its prey.
Sorry,
kind
Chris.
of.
This episode was called Unexplainable. You're explaining this too well.
That's
Keep going.
sorry.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
And then you flashed me your titties.
So my cousin, I go, hey, will you please go shut the door?
Oh, make him do it.
I'm more in tune. It makes sense.
It does.
So I'm like, hey, Joe, will you go shut the door? He's
Dude,
like,
I would have told you to go F yourself.
that's what he said. Because we have a fire going too, because my grandpa would leave the fire and we could stoke it or whatever. And we had a fire going in the basement. I was like, okay, I go, you're not going to go shut it? He's like,
Yeah,
no. So I'm like, okay, I'll go shut it. So I go and I get up and I'm like, gosh, dang it, this sucks. And this is when I'm younger. And so I was like super scared. I'm walking over to the door and I just am like, oh, please don't flying open. Don't fly open. And I'm just thinking all this in my head. And I go grab the doorknob and I shut the door and it shuts. I'm like, oh, thank goodness. Right before it's getting ready to shut all the way, all of a sudden something pushes back on it and pushes it into me. Oh my! And I hurry and shut it and I lock it and all of a sudden the door handle goes.
Oh my God.
Again,
that.
I run. I put the blankets over my head and I was like, okay, I got told to say a prayer. I got told to say a prayer. And so I just start praying and I just, dear Heavenly Father, please. And I was scared the rest of the night, but I finally was able to drift off into sleep and But it was bad.
God.
What happened to your cousin
That's when
there
it
with her?
really hit me hard. What?
What happened to the other person that was there?
He just sat there. He was
He
scared
died.
to death too. So
He was never seen again.
so we left the fire going and we left the TV on and then I threw the blankets over and I was petrified and I think he did the same thing, probably just threw the blankets and he's.
Jeez.
Camera's
Second
looking
prayer
all
in
over.
his
You're so nervous. That's the furnace.
But
this
anyways,
time.
that was the first
That's
time.
not, that's not the sound of hell burning.
Why is
That's
there no
just the sound of my.
That was the first time that I got introduced to something that was not a good presence.
Yeah.
Dude, can you just imagine that ghost is standing there in the doorway? You threw the covers on. He's like, not the covers. Dang it. Going home.
I've seen videos like that where it's like chasing them down the hallway, and then they get on the bed, throw the covers, and they're
That's what it was like. So I'd tell my dad, and he's like, "Oh, that's not true. That couldn't have happened." He goes, "Because if it's an evil entity, they don't have a physical body, so they can't actually touch material and this and that."
Forces.
I was like,
it's energy though.
I mean,
Right.
I've heard that stuff too, but they got some.
"Well, I'm
sort
telling
of
you,
power.
that's full of crap because it does. They do. They
Well, I
can
mean,
do
I
some
know,
things.
I know they don't have physical bodies, but I
Right.
do feel like they have some sort of power over certain elements.
Of course,
That's why things get cold. That's why
right?
windy, things like that.
They have
That's why thunder
lightning.
crash.
Anyways. Oh my gosh.
So,
somebody else tell a story.
do you have a scary story
Well,
for
I
us?
was
Zach?
just gonna say with
Or Tony?
with what you were talking about. With I remember seeing a meme once, and this guy like he's going to bed, and he like shuts his lights off, and he's like getting under his covers, and then he like sits up and he like looks, and it like shows the corner, and there's like kind of an outline. He's like,
Oh, I
he
think I've
turns
seen
on
this
his
one.
lights, and it's just his jacket, and he's like, oh, okay. And so he's kind of getting in position again. And he shuts the lights off, and the camera goes back to the corner, and he turns it on real quick, and you see this like demon guy, and he's like he got caught in the middle of trying to hide. And the guy in the covers is like, gotcha, and he's like, oh, he's like, yeah, you do it, good job, man. See you tomorrow, and he like walks out the door.
I think I've seen that.
He's
so
like trying
fun.
to reposition the jacket, and he's like,
He's-
oh,
oh, you caught me.
The thing, what sucks is Alden's got it too.
Oh, dude,
He's starting to pick up on it bad.
that's what I'm afraid of with the girls.
He keeps running into our room, and Lisa's like, "Jess, you need to stay in your bed." And I kind of understand, so I take a better approach. Because my dad, when I was a kid, I remember having things happen, and my dad would be like, "Go to your bed."
Just go hang out with the monsters.
He'd be so pissed, and he's like, "Go to your bed. It's just your imagination." La, la, la. And so with Alden, I know it's not, and he explains it the same way I did when I was a kid. He's like, "Dad," he goes, "I'm scared." I was like, "What are you scared of?" I go, "Are you scared of the dark? Because if you're scared of the dark, that's something we can work on and say, you got to face that." He's like, "It's the shadow people." I'm like, "Crap."
oh,
So
gosh.
he explains them as the shadow
Yeah.
people.
F that.
Nope.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say, yeah, you got something similar.
No, I didn't know.
Well, he was walking down the hall
F
one
that.
time, and all of a sudden he gets like thrown on the ground. He's like, "Don't push me! I told you not to touch me."
Ah,
God.
Light it on fire.
Yeah, and that's when we decide to move.
Jeez, dude.
Hopefully the buyers aren't listening to this,
Right.
whoever they may be. Just
If you are, my house is in Lehi, Utah.
have you seen those? Have you seen those things where it's like house for sale, and then like below that, not haunted.
definitely most haunted.
But yeah,
My sister had an imaginary friend when she was younger.
yeah.
And my mom didn't think much of it at all, didn't care. And then I guess one day my sister was like rolling on the floor holding her neck. And my mom was like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "My friend's joking me." And she's like, "Okay, stop. No,
Yeah.
You're
Get
done.
out
You're
for
done.
a
You have
while.
no imaginary friends anymore."
Power of Christ compels you.
Wow.
You know, kind of on a lighter note. So my niece, when she was younger, like if I had to guess, maybe 3-4 years old, my sister was tucking her into bed, and was like, "Mom, I can't sleep." And she's like, "Well, why not?" And she's like, the singing. And she's like, "What singing?" And she points at her ceiling. She's like, "From up there, the singing is too loud. I can't sleep." And it was like kind of more on like the angel side of things.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's really cool.
Right.
But yeah, she grew out of it. She's not, as far as I know, I haven't actually talked to her about it in a while, but like she had an imaginary friend when she was a kid called Irma, if I remember right. And honestly, the way
Does she have a friend named Mildred?
She do the dishes a lot.
it was Irma or Ina, maybe Ina, I don't know. But anyway, she described her as wearing like a bonnet. She doesn't even know what a bonnet is. Like this was when she was just little, but she like described her perfectly. There was one day that she saw a picture of my grandpa who had passed away years before she was even born. She saw a picture of him and knew his name. We'd never even really talked about him. She just pointed at his picture and was like, "Oh, it's Grandpa Joe." And we're just like, yeah, it is. How do you know that's Grandpa Joe? And she was just like, "Oh, I just know that's Grandpa Joe."
Yeah.
It's,
See, I did that with my aunt. It's crazy.
yeah.
So she's in tune too. I'm not. So I got to correct something. It's not that you don't. It's always an impression. Sometimes I do see them. They don't like to be seen though, for the most part. I don't know why.
Good or bad? Like they
Yeah,
just
they
don't like to be seen.
Nuh-uh.
Zach. Oh, sorry. I want to get around the table.
No, go for it.
Zach, you got any stories?
Even like more stories.
Well, I was going to say, I got something on there. The worst one that ever happened to me was I was driving to work one morning, and I had to take a different route because the normal route I was used to taking was closed. They were doing construction, whatever, so I had to take a different route to work. And I remember I was driving down a kind of a smaller road, older road. Anyways, I swear I saw a guy sitting on the corner. And it's 5 a.m, and I'm like, what is this guy do? He's just on the corner. I was like, what is going on? And as I got closer, it ended up being no one there. Kind of creeped me out. And then as I got to that corner, I had to stop and wait for a car to come by, and I turned. And as I stopped and I turned and there was no one there, and I looked everywhere, there was no one in sight. So I turned and I kept driving, and all of a sudden I just got that you get those goosebumps, that overwhelming sense of feeling that there is someone in the car with you. Mm-hmm.
In the car?
Yep. I had that whole sense of feeling that there was someone behind me, and I kept looking in my back seat. Got about a half a mile down the road, got to a stop sign, and I literally just
Got out of the car and left.
burned it, lit it on fire, and ran. Chris had told me at one point, he's like, if you ask them to leave, a lot of times they'll just go.
Right.
And when I got to that stop sign, I honestly just out loud, I was like, hey man, I don't know who you are and I don't know why you're in my car, but you're not invited here. You need to leave. And immediately that overwhelming sense of just, holy crap, it just left.
Really?
Just departed. And I drove off and I didn't feel it again.
Wow.
was
You
it
legit had a
Crossroads?
hitchhiker.
I did. Yeah.
The haunted hitchhiker.
Yeah.
Or a crossroad
Bro.
demon.
I don't know what it was, but yeah, like I said, I literally saw someone on the corner, and as I got closer, they weren't there anymore.
That reminds me of did you ever see that video of
Yes.
it was a very, I know you guys have seen it. It's a very famous footage of a car, dash cam of a police car, and they're chasing someone
I was thinking of a different one.
it's like a van or something. They're it's been a while since I've seen the video, but they're literally chasing something, and then it goes off road, and it starts going through a field, and all of a sudden the cop has to slam on its brakes because there's a fence ahead, and the thing just continues through the fence.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I remember seeing that one.
Do you remember seeing
It's
that?
like a car chase.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a car chase.
It's a car chase, and you're seeing it from the dash cam, and they're driving through a field of like really tall weeds. Like the weeds are almost as tall as the cars, and they're like plowing down the weeds as they're driving through.
Yeah.
And then they come up. All of a sudden, there's a wood fence, and
That's interesting.
And whatever they're chasing just keeps.
Jeez.
Do you remember that video?
Find that.
Do you remember that video? It was just a fan-made video. You know what
I
I'm
know
talking
what
about?
you're talking about.
The
We all know what he's talking about. The minute he
video is
says
so
something.
the
creepy.
hitchhiker one.
Yup.
Have you? So I
So good.
we gotta just find the video, but at the same time, I want to talk. So there's this group of friends, and they're driving, and it's stormy, it's raining, and there's two people in the front, so the driver and the passenger, and then the person sitting in back has a camera, and they're all laughing and everything like that. Well, then they see this girl on the side of the road walking down, and she's kind of just walking at this slow, kind of slouched pace, and
Yeah, this is Texas Chainsaw. You don't stop
so-
for that chick.
so because it was raining and
You
everything,
cold roll him.
Put them out of their misery.
so they decide to pick her up, and she gets in the back seat with the guy with the camera. Well, every time he puts the camera on her, it gets like shaky, like fuzzy. And then he goes back to his friends, and the focus straightens out, and they're kind of talking to her. And if I remember right, the whole thing's subtitled, right? It's not in English, but it has the English subtitles, if I remember right.
I think I know what you're talking about.
And so anyway, they're kind of just sitting there quiet, and because she's just sitting there, she doesn't say a word, and they're trying to talk to her, and she doesn't really say anything. And again, the camera he's going from his friends on the front seat back to her, but every time he puts the camera on her, the camera gets shaky. Well, then she finally says something, and it's something along the lines of like,
They were asking her questions, weren't they?
yeah, they were trying to talk to her, but if I remember right, she wasn't really saying much back.
She just was like sitting there ominously. Like
Yeah.
just,
And they were kind of getting weirded out because she wasn't saying anything.
Because they were like, "Where do you need us to take you?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
where do you want us to
they're like,
go?"
"What
And she's
happened?
like,
Are you
"Up here?"
Yeah, and then she was finally something along the lines of like, "Oh, that's where it happened." And they're like, "That's where what happened?" And she's like, "That's where I died." And the camera hurries and turns to her, and she goes like, "Rah!" And like kind of like,
Yeah, dude, it's so good.
yeah, it's good.
That's not at all the video I was thinking of.
Oh, what were you thinking of?
Oh, I was thinking
Exactly
of
what I was thinking.
I was thinking of the one where it's like it looks like a car ad, and the car is coming down the beautiful,
yep.
and then it drives past the
yeah,
bush,
dumb.
and then the camera continues panning, and then all of a sudden out of the
Zombie.
corner it's like, "Wah!"
It's all stupid zombie.
no,
one.
this one was like a legitimate video. Like it was well done. It was creepy.
And it was short enough that they, brandished it as like found footage kind of thing. Whatever. But it was good. Like it was very believable.
Got you.
There's like
another
right
one.
up until that scare at the end, you're waiting. You think it's a legit thing.
There's another video like that about the fallen angel. Have you seen that one in the woods?
Yeah, I think so.
That one's crazy too. So they're like going through the woods, like, did you hear that or did you see that? And they're like zooming in, trying to find it. And then they zoom in on this camera, and all of a sudden you see the head turn and you see the eyes light up, and it's all like creaturely.
But at
yeah,
first,
I have
they just
seen
see it kind of moving. They're
Right.
like, "What is that?" And they're
Right.
trying to like focus in on it and zoom in. And then it was like all of a sudden you just hear a twig snap, and it turns and looks at him, and the eyes glow like a cat's eyes do. And
yeah. That one's crazy.
that's a
too.
good one too.
So do you have any story? Have you told one yet?
No,
Do you have any unexplained stories? What, Cam?
the one
I do.
that popped into my head kind of I can't remember which one you were talking about that reminded me. It's not really like scary, but it was just it was cool at the time for me. And I've probably told it before, so I apologize if I have, but I know you guys have heard it. But Jenny and I, we were staying at the Anniversary Inn up in Logan. And one of the rooms we were staying in, it's called Juliet's Balcony, and it's done to look like that, obviously. And so there's 2 levels, and the bedroom and the bathroom were on the upper level, and then you can go downstairs, and it's got the big jacuzzi tub and everything like that. Well, I'm downstairs in the tub, and she's like, I got to hurry and go to the bathroom. So as she runs up the stairs, and I just put my head back, close my eyes, and I'm just enjoying the warmth of the tub. And not even like seconds go by, and I hear footsteps coming down the stairs. And I just, without opening my eyes, I just think to myself, like, wow, that was really fast. And then I hear the toilet flush and hear her come out of the bathroom. And so I like open my eyes. I was like, what the heck? And then she comes down, gets back in the tub, and she asked me, she's like, did you come upstairs for something? And I was like, you heard it too? Like, I immediately knew, because she heard the steps. And so I thought it was her coming down. She thought it was me going up. And so that was the first thing of that night. So then later that night, so the bedroom area, it was just the bed with a couple end tables, and it was in its own little like room, but without a door. It had a doorway, like an arched doorway, but with no door. And so we were in there, we were watching movies, and I think I had to go to the restroom or do something. So I was like, I'm going to hurry and run, or we had like a snack bag, I was like, I'm going to hurry and run and grab this. And I come out of that arch just a little bit, and then I physically ran into something. Like, I just was like, oh my gosh. And I turned right back around, get in bed. And I'm like, nope. I'm like, I'm here for the night. Like that. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I've never felt it that strong like that. Like, it wasn't evil. Like, it wasn't bad, but something was there.
Just eerie.
Like, Tony, stick to your diet, bro. Nope. Not in this house.
Right? We need a ghost
Dietitian.
bodybuilder. Yeah, dietitian slapping food out of here. I'm like,
could you imagine out of
2 more
nowhere?
reps, pansy.
Out of nowhere, the Twinkie in your hand just flies out of your hand.
Come on.
And I just move it.
Yeah, you do it.
we should make this into a short. Like a YouTube. That'd be so
That'd be funny.
What's your story, Cam?
So I got a couple that happened like in our house. And so the first one, this took place while we were dating. And we had to go somewhere. We were hanging out, and then we had to go somewhere, but we were both like super tired. So we're like, hey, let's just take a quick like 30-minute nap or whatever. So we go lay on my bed, and like at this time, like the way my room was set up, like my door's right here, and then you walk in and turn left, and there's my bed against like the opposite corner. And so Shaylee's on it, and then I'm laying right behind her. So my back is to the back of, like, facing the door, basically. And before I laid down, I was eating like it was like a protein bar. And I only ate like half of it, but I like folded it and put it on the nightstand. Okay. And so we lay down. Well, I fall asleep really fast. So I'm out like pretty quick. And as I'm laying there, fully asleep, out of nowhere, like 20 minutes into this little nap, I hear the plastic of the protein bar crinkle, like basically like it's opening itself, and I hear this like.
It's your nutrition ghost.
Right? It's the same guy. But it wakes me up straight out of that sleep. I don't like move, but I wake up and I'm now aware of everything, and I feel like the back of the hair. The hair on the back of my neck is like starting to stand right. And I take like a deep breath. I'm just like, because all of a sudden I'm aware of everything going on. Right. And I'm kind of freaking out. I'm like, I think Shaylee's asleep, so I'm not going to like jump around or do anything like that. Right. And I'm like, and I just kind of am thinking, I'm like, is there something there? Is something behind me? Did something grab this protein bar? Whatever. And then breaking the silence, Shaylee's like, will you tell it to leave?
Oh,
And I'm like,
get out.
I'm like, what? Come again? she's like, you felt it too, right? Can you put your arm to the square and tell it to leave? And I'm like, and I sat up, dude, and nothing's in there. But you know, in our religion, we believe like you put your arm to the square and you say in the name of Jesus Christ, like I command you to leave.
Command
Like
you to leave.
you can basically send anything a packing. So I do that, and immediately we feel better and stuff. And I'm like, what the freak happened? And she's like, I don't know, but it, you know, I felt it, and I wasn't gonna say anything. But then I felt like I heard the crackle, and I felt you like kind of breathe in, and I was like, oh my gosh, like literally it was like the nail in the coffin of like, I could be really scared right now, but I'm gonna be strong. And it's like, tell it to go away. What do you mean tell it to go away?
Or it's that like where you're trying to argue with yourself, like, oh,
No,
it's
it's
not
fine.
really happening. It's
Nothing's
all in
here.
my head. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden you get that confirmation. You're like, oh, fuck.
I have to turn around.
Oh, this is for reals.
Ah, crap.
Yeah.
So there was that, and
Wow, that's
after that,
creepy.
nothing really happened ever until we did a vlog where we were just looking for ghost towns out in like Tooele and stuff, and we found like some of these like wicked old graveyards. And we went walking through one of the graveyards, and we were just kind of looking around. We're filming and stuff, and like I guess I happened to say the name of one of them. I like read one of the headstones or something like that and talked about it. Well, right after we make that video, for the next couple weeks, just weird stuff starts happening around the house. Like little things like TV will like flicker on, or lights will kind of like flicker or turn off randomly. We'll hear noises in random places in the house. Some of the creepier ones where Shaylee would be like laying in bed, and she would kind of like hear Kaylee come in to the room, and then expecting her to like say something, nothing would happen. And so she'd kind of like open her eyes and like look around, and Kaylee's not standing on the side of the bed. Look down at the foot of the bed, and Kaylee's not there. And she's like, weird. And then like kind of go back to sleep. But then she'd feel like someone bumped into the bottom of the bed.
Oof.
And so she's like, Kaylee? And Kaylee would be like in her room. And then, you know, she would feel that quite often. Like she would, out of the corner of her eye, see a child like run past the bottom of the bed. There's one time when we were going to sleep, and on my nightstand I had an Nalgene bottle, not an Nalgene bottle, but like a hydro flask. And I sit it on the nightstand, right? And it's pretty low, but it's like square in the middle of the nightstand. And I start to go to sleep. I'm on that verge of like passing through into dreamland, right? Like, you know, you're right about to fall asleep. Yeah. I kid you not, that Nalgene bottle came flying off my nightstand and just bing-a-ling-ding, like on the floor. Yeah. And I was not having it. I was like, no. Nope, no, things do not get thrown around here from entities.
Do you pay the bills in this house?
So we did like a follow-up podcast and kind of talked about what was going on. And someone mentioned, they're like, well, hey, in your podcast, or in your other vlog, you mentioned this like spirit or whatever. And we had other people who were like kind of sensitive, and they're like, we think it might be this. And even her mom was like, I think that's the one. And so legit one day we were just sitting there, and we're like, okay, said their name again. I was like, thanks for saying hi, for being here, but we really don't want you to be here. Could you please go back home? From that moment on, nothing has ever happened.
Wow,
Jeez.
that's wild.
Dude, it was spooky, dude. It was creepy.
I thought of another one, just kind of a little one. So in that same condo where it was supposedly my grandma, Brindley had this little bus toy thing that you could either sit on and push or walk behind it, and it had all the buttons. And each button, or like the buttons, if you pushed them, it had maybe 3 to 5 different little tunes, like songs, and it would cycle through them as you push the different buttons. Well, every so often it would go off on its own, but it would cycle through to a certain song and then let it play through. And then when it was over, it would do it again, and it would skip all the songs, get to that one, and then let it play through. and it would probably do it a couple times a week.
Oh,
Dude, how that thing would be thrown away immediately.
yeah,
are my
immediately.
Not even the first time it did it, it'd be like, nope, out the window.
Yeah, exactly.
We still have
batteries
it.
would be out of it.
What is wrong with you?
Well, it's not the thing. It's the thing messing with the thing.
Yeah, but clearly it's its favorite thing. So
It's
I'm
the
gonna
thing
throw it out.
messing with
Maybe
the thing
it'll
that
follow
looks
it.
like another thing.
No,
No,
no, dude.
So I have one. As funny as it is, this one actually takes place on Halloween. So I was with my friend Kevin. I want to say we were probably it's probably like late junior high, maybe beginning high school. I can't remember. And anyway, we went out for a night of trick or treating, came home to his house, and his house was completely empty. And so we were like, oh, okay. And growing up, my dad had always told me, stay away from Ouija boards.
Oh yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Heck yeah.
And he told me this really scary story about how he tried to get rid of one and it just wouldn't go away, kept coming back because it was like a legit one. It wasn't like a
Toys R Us.
Toys R Us
Fisher
one.
Price.
And
Well,
that's
anyway.
the thing. Like my mom always same thing. She was never let us go near Ouija boards because she
Yeah.
had some weird freaky experience when she was young.
And so
Those ones do things too.
he told me that when he burned it, it screamed.
Oh,
And so anyway, me being dumb and young, we were in the mood for spooky, and we had a house that was empty and we didn't have much to do. And so Kevin's like, hey, my sister has a Ouija board. Do you want to play with it? I was like, heck yeah, man. That sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
So he goes
great idea.
downstairs.
says no one ever.
He goes downstairs, grabs it, and out of pure curiosity, because I had never even seen one used. Like, I think the most that I had ever seen was probably like from a Halloween movie. But did they use one in what's that? Witches?
No.
No, they
Hocus
don't.
Pocus.
They don't use one in Hocus
No,
Pocus.
not Hocus Pocus.
I remember seeing one in some movie at some time. Anyway, I remember that people always argued that they weren't moving it. So
I remember the commercials for
Right.
it.
yeah, exactly. And so we start using it. And again, we're in the house completely by ourselves. And while we're using it, we're in his like living room, and there's this lamp in the corner, and the lamp starts flickering. And we're like, okay, this has to be coincidence because like the bulb just has to be burning out or something. This is just silly. And so we're still using it, and I kid you not, all the lights in just the living room then flickered. Boom, boom, boom. And I was like, okay, there's no one else in this house. None of the other lights in this house flickered. We're done. And so then we packaged it up, put it down in the basement, and that was the end of that. That was it. But it was enough coincidence for me to call it good.
Yeah.
What are you looking around for?
I don't know. Chris is looking at stuff.
We're good.
Oh, okay.
You sure?
We're not good. He knows something.
Yeah, he knows something.
We're good.
No, man.
We're all
there's,
good.
There's nothing but good
There's
spirits
nothing in this house.
This house
That's a
is solid.
lie.
There's nothing bad in this house.
Yeah, nothing
That
bad.
might be true.
There's nothing. I just really got a fart. Is all. That's all.
I got actually a lighthearted one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this
Let's
isn't
hear it.
spooky, but it's a lighthearted one. Back when I was a kid, I used to share a room with my brother. We had bunk beds.
Yeah.
And I remember specifically we had lost one of our dogs. I can't remember exactly what happened. I was way too young to really remember what happened. But we had lost one of our dogs, and I remember he just was gone. And we went to bed that night. And then all of a sudden I had a dream that I had found him and brought him home. And my brother was with me and all this stuff. We actually brought him home, and he was that stuff. And then I woke up and he was in our room. My dog was. And I woke my brother up and I said, hey, Brutus is back. Brutus is back. And he was like, that is so weird. I just had a dream that me and you found him and brought him home.
That's cool.
So you both had the
So
dream,
me and him legit had the exact same dream.
and then there he was.
And then there he was.
oh my gosh!
So,
Was he really there?
yeah.
Okay, good.
He really, yeah.
That's
No,
awesome.
they had a little friend running around.
He just had some thing running around.
That's awesome.
That is
Yeah.
cool.
I have one that to be honest, to this day, I don't know if it's true or not. It didn't happen to me. My dad would tell the story, and he told it as if it was true, and he never said otherwise. But it happened to my uncle, so my dad's brother and his friend, when they were, I don't know, teens, maybe early 20s. But they were in the Ogden Cemetery, and it was late. They were doing the, spooky ghost stuff. And they saw this like hairy kind of smaller creature that they were like, oh, maybe it's either a small bear or a really large raccoon, like something
Really large rat.
It's weird how your mind, like, it can't fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're looking at it and they're like, what the heck? And so they're, trying to see it. And so they go to get closer to it, and it kind of turns and looks, and its eyes kind of flicker red. And they're like, what the heck? And so they wanted to chase after it. And so they hop in their truck and start driving towards it.
Mm-hmm. Continue.
And they start driving at it. Well, after they kind of start getting close to it, it stops, turns and looks at them. It breaks off a piece of tombstone, throws it at them, and then takes off. And so they were like, okay, we're done. So they left. Well, they come back the next day. They find that tombstone, and they can see claw marks leading up to the broken piece. And supposedly, and I don't know, but my uncle's friend still has the piece of tombstone.
Now, do you know where this is? You said it was at the Ogden Cemetery.
He said it was at the Ogden Cemetery. I don't know which tombstone
could he
or anything.
point us to it?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like
It
we
was
could
most-
make this a video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most likely it's been replaced if it was
I was
broken.
going to say, this was, like I said, my uncle now, he's in his
never know.
70s, and this happened, so probably 50 years ago, maybe more.
Hopefully it's not. I wouldn't replace it. I'd be like, did you see this shit?
Bro,
And like I said,
wanna
the
go
story
there.
could just be made up, but no one's denied it. And so
Dude,
I
we
don't
should
know.
go.
We should go. Yeah.
We should do like a Mythbusters, but like a Ghostbusters.
Find it.
Ghost busts.
Most busters.
Most busters.
Most.
Gift busters.
So this has gone on way longer than I anticipated.
Oh, boy.
I wanted to get around to doing Reddit stories of unexplained stories, and then also the 2 sentence scary stories. But we have gone well beyond an hour just
Beautiful.
in unexplained personal stories. So here's my pitch. I'm going to reach out to a local haunted hotel, see if I can get us an on-location recording setup. And while we're there, we'll talk about our experience and the history of said hotel. And then maybe we'll do a second podcast sharing scary stories that we found on Reddit and 2-sentence scary stories. What do you say?
Dude,
Okay.
let's do it.
I think we could do it. I think I could pull that off in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Okay.
We can
Does
do
that
it.
sound
We can do
good?
it. Totally.
Yeah, make that work.
Heck
Okay,
yeah.
so if you guys are new here, if you haven't already, please make sure to hit that subscribe. Come back for more. If you guys want something that's a little bit more lighthearted than this content, check out our backlog. We have loads of other stuff that's not scary. We have, comedic stuff. You just enjoy. There's loads.
Inappropriate.
Yeah, there's loads of inappropriate.
Appropriate. It's more than that.
Real quick, there
Yeah.
was one on Reddit that I actually read.
Do you want to keep it?
No, this
I
one's
will let you read it.
this one's it's not really scary. It's just it's an unexplained
Okay,
thing.
so
like-
this will be a teaser
Yes.
for an episode to come.
Yes. So this was a person out in England. They just took a family trip to Sherwood Forest. Sherwood? No. Yeah.
Sherwood?
Is
that real?
the
Robin Hood. Sherwood.
Yeah, Sherwood Forest. Yeah, that's a legit place.
That's a place?
Yeah.
Well, now I
So-
have a bucket list. Like,
They had bought some souvenirs and had some pendants or whatever that they had put some pins or whatever that they had put on their jackets. Pendants, whatever.
Yeah.
They had it on their jacket. And they had put it in they took their jackets off, put them in the back of the trunk. Well, on their way home,
That's called the boot.
yeah, the boot. That's what it said in here. But I didn't know if people would know it was the boot, so I said the trunk. But yeah, so they said the boot flew open, and his sister's jacket flew out, and they couldn't find it. Like by the time they could get to stop, and it was just long gone. And she was, a little upset. So anyways, they drive home. They live more than 100 miles away. They drive home, and he said as they pulled around into the cul-de-sac, her jacket was laying right on their front porch.
Get out.
Or not in their front yard. With the Sherwood Forest pennant that they had just bought, and she pinned to it.
You're not supposed to put your address on the tag if you lose it.
It's what they said. Somehow this jacket hitchhiked 100 miles and beat them home.
That's awesome.
my
Creepy.
It was Robin Hood.
Yep, right?
And that was the start of DHL.
Never been. I said rob from the rich, not the poor.
Oh man. Okay,
That's
well,
cool.
many more scary stories like that to come. Again, if you're new here, hit that subscribe.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to all of our members for supporting us. And we'll see you guys.
Robin Hood.
Hashtag Robin Hood.
Because you can only know that if you got it all the way to the end.
I like it. True. I like it. Leave us some
right.
questions.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of, no, we're late.
Yeah, we're late. It's fine. We'll get them in the next round.
We out.
Yeah, we're out
Love
of here.
you guys.
Zach needs to get home and get to bed. So
Same.
thank you for tuning in. We'll see you guys here next week. Ciao.
Bye.
Deuces.
Arrivederci.
Thanks for being part of this crowd.